go. We're back. Y'all been begging for it. Had to bring him back. This guy, he's all over the headlines. Everybody's talking about him per usual.
Yeah.
Man, on Valentine's Day, man. I mean, how you feel about Valentine's Day?
Valentine's Day don't mean. Yeah. How you gonna pick one day to decide? Yeah, the expression of love. Valentine's Day is good.
And it's favorite towards the women too.
Yeah.
That's right.
Very favorite.
Yeah, the men we always get short end of the stick.
Yeah, they don't spend no hundreds of dollars for the men to give. Yeah, they think getting niggas some is a Valentine's Day gift. In actuality, in some cases it is.
And then when you think about it, I mean, Christmas just passed, Valentine's Day is here, then the birthdays, like
they
it just don't stop.
Yeah, they playing on it. But nah, I'd rather celebrate Valentine's Day tomorrow or yesterday, rather than today.
What you mean by that?
Man, I don't want nobody dictating to me. When I can love on who I love. It's like putting it in the box. Yeah, let me pick what day. I want to do something. Yeah. So for Valentine's Day, you catch me tomorrow. Watch how loving I'll be. Yeah, I'll be loving in the mother for tomorrow, nigga. I ain't gonna do shit today. But yeah, it's kind of hard not to. Because the expectations is set real high, my nigga. For Valentine's Day, especially if you involved with a woman or you got a woman.
Yeah, where you at mentally? Because I feel like I know you've been doing things like you got a fresh movie out. You got touring, but I don't think we see you go live on the internet every day how it used to be.
Yeah, nah. That's my.
Is it like a social fatigue a little bit?
Yeah. That's my break. Yeah, homie. Yeah, that's my break. I used to go live every day, 2-3 times a day. I don't want to oversaturate myself on the internet. It's good to engage the audience. I'm focusing more on what I engage on stage. Yeah. So my mindset is why get on there every day, homie, when people paying to come see you?
That's true.
People literally paying to come see you now. So why would you get on here every day and continue to make people laugh every day, all day for free? Then there'll be no need for me to be selling comedy tickets.
That, and then you got a lot of original content, old content that's still circulating.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff from 4 or 5 years ago that are still new to people today.
Yeah. And then a lot of people take what I do online and then go monetize it on their other channels. So I wanted to limit to that as well. So yeah, I wanted to kind of limit people being able to use what I do on Facebook and Instagram and then go put it on their pages and get all the value from it.
Yeah. Now, I mean, what's the typical day of Charleston White like? I mean, I know you get up early, 6, 7 a.m.
A typical day now is I'm bombarded with phone calls and emails for bookings. So yeah, most of my day is talking to people about booking, sending deposits, wire transfers. I get a lot of business proposed to me. Spend a lot of time on the phone between my manager and my agent, Eric Young. So it's a day of like customer service down there. Nigga being on the phone all day long. Then it's coming home to rest. Nigga might be home for 2 or 3 days and then back on the road for 3 or 4 days. So mainly nigga trying to stay rested, cause that's what make a nigga old fast. That's where them health problems come in. Nigga not getting no rest. So nigga, I try to stay rested.
And then I know like everywhere you go, people notice you. Whether if you're gonna go get food, airport, haircut, it's like you never really get you time.
No. I don't hardly get no U time no more. So So I make sure I get some new time.
But hasn't it got old yet, or is it still something that keeps you going? Cause you're human. I know some days you don't want to be bothered.
It's getting old, nigga. Some days I don't want to be noticed. Yeah, nigga. Some days I walk out the house, nigga. I don't want to be bothered. But shit, it's too late. Nah, nigga. Some days I don't want. I ain't gonna say I don't want to be charged. But nigga, I don't want to be recognized. Yeah, nigga. Some days I just want to slide in the stove and slide out and not say nothing to nobody. And that's impossible now. But, nigga, even when I don't feel like being bothered, I still appreciate it. And yeah, nigga, even when I feel like a motherfucker getting on my nerves with this shit, and they take one picture, they say, okay, now this picture don't look right, let's take another one. And they say, no, this one don't, and I'm trying to leave. Nigga, I still appreciate it. Yeah, so it don't get old. It's just that a nigga human. And at times, nigga, I want space and I don't want to be bothered. Sometimes I'll be on the phone with my mother, with my daughter, and the motherfucker stand right there and wait, and I'll be like, hey, I'm on the phone. Nigga, they don't be getting down.
Cause I was in New Orleans, and probably about 4 or 5 people came up and was like, man, when that new Charleston dropping? I'm like, I said, I know Charleston gets tired of that, man, because I mean, I love it, but it's just like at the end of the day, you know, for safety reasons, you don't know who's who, you don't know who's a friend or a foe, you don't know. It's just, you know, sometimes you just want that peace of mind.
Yeah, sometimes I want to be unnoticed.
Yeah, you just want to be a ghost, just go do your thing.
Yeah, but see, nigga, them days long gone, so I just find ways to appreciate it. Motherfuckers excited to see it.
Now you're all over the internet right now. I guess. Well, Shannon Sharp just did an interview with Gilly. Shannon Sharp asked him about his son.
That man trying to come and move them week. That's
and then
crazy.
Came up. Yeah. And Gilly said that he doesn't accept your apology, and you're only known for coming at people who put in work. You haven't put in no work. And
yeah, Gilly don't know what the fuck he talking about. Yeah, Gilly a weenie to me. I don't really never have liked it. Nigga, he was a ghostwriter nigga for Cash Money. He wasn't known for rapping. I'm really known in my city, not just in my city, in my state. Nigga, I'm really known for working in the community with children. Starting, nigga from J.D. Hall Learning Center, speaking at Sam Houston, Metro, mid-level. So I'm actually taught classes in the independent school district. Not only have I actually taught classes, nigga, I had after-school programs that was used and adopted by the Texas Juvenile Justice Department. Not only did they use my curriculums in my program, nigga, I used to train the state of Texas juvenile workers who actually work for the Texas Juvenile Justice Department. Not only did I train the state's juvenile workers on it, they used to use my facilitators manuals and curriculum to train county probation departments. My organization, Hype About Hype Youth Outreach, and Hype is an acronym for helping young people excel, for several years was highly recommended to all 254 counties throughout the state of Texas by the Texas Justice Juvenile Department. So for him to say, I'm not known for anything, I'm not known for anything for rapping and entertainment. But nigga, prior to coming to the internet, nigga, I'm known as the frustrated, angry community nigga who fought not just with the gang banging nigga. Nigga, I fought the police and I thought the police was wrong. I would go downtown. Niggas, at least for 2 years straight, nigga, I was at every city council speaking and advocating for issues in the black community. For what, 3 years straight at Eastfield Police Training Academy. I would train the United States Department of Homeland Security Human Trafficking Division, the first responders that were dealing with human trafficking. So I did that for 3 years straight. Nigga, I've worked with over 50 I've literally worked with over 50 U.S. congressional members, from Ted Cruz to Senator Mark Rubio, man, John Cornyn. So I done worked with over 50 U.S. congressional members to get juvenile life without parole abolished in this country. I've been on the front page of the American Bar Association Journal. I've done a national study in partnership and collaboration on fatherlessness and its effect in America on black youth. So I've actually done a study with the School of Journalism, the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism out of Phoenix. So, nigga, all this is documented. I have an amicus brief that was sent to the Supreme Court with my name on it to have laws and legislation change in America. So I don't know what that nigga talking about. He just hating. But the reason the bitch ass nigga hating is let me just say, when I apologize, I sincerely apologize because he and I have mutual celebrity friends. And on behalf of Jason Lee, I got a lot of respect and admiration for Jason Lee. And so on behalf of Jason Lee, and out of respect for our mutual friends, I gave a sincere apology on Hollywood Unlocked. Now whether he accepted or not, nigga, that's on him. I didn't play for the nigga to accept it. I didn't apologize for him. Nigga, I apologize for me. So whether he accept that or not. But one of the contrasts that what I wanted to make is this is why I align more with the Christian belief system rather than the Muslim, the Allah. Getting them is Muslim, Allah. When I look at the Muslim Allah niggas, most of them niggas are angry, resentful, unforgiving. Muslims are not very forgiving people. The Christian people are very forgiving. Turn the other cheek. So let me just give you an example. Nigga, I said some horrible things about Gilly's son because he said some horrible things about me. Not only that, the nigga threatened to put his hands on me. Remember, I sent you the DM when nigga threatened to slap me because I spoke in an interview about the Pop Hunter kid. It was him and his son who exposed the Pop Hunter kid for snitching, right? This is after he done had King Von and Lil Durk on $1 million worth of game. They singing Lil Durk lyrics. They're not shaming Lil Durk and this nigga for smoking on Tupac and King Von for smoking on Tupac. They was actually celebrating King Von and Lil Durk. Sung some of the lyrics along with it. They didn't chasten them niggas. So here comes the kid Pop Hunter who released the song Corvette. He had Lil Uzi Vert on there. It was Gilly and his son who came out and said, hey, this guy is a snitch. He snitched when he was 14 years old on a murder with his mama. I'm saying, goddamn, nigga, you gonna put the street codes and the no snitching down on a nigga when he a kid with his mama? This was Gilly them doing this. So when I spoke out about it on the Say TV interview, that nigga jumped in my DM and said, do you got a problem, Goofy? When I see you, I'm gonna slap you. So I'm like, this nigga threatening to put his hand on me? Nigga, you got me up, nigga. So that's where the beef started. I never knew who he was. I never knew nothing about Gilly the Kid or Gilly the King, whatever he called himself. I never knew he existed until then. He done that interview. So I'm saying, how can you niggas just celebrate and upholding the gangster culture? I came out attacking and trying to shame the gangster culture and got a lot of pushback from guys like Gilly the Kid, Street and Jack. I got a lot of pushback because they went with the King Von smoking on Tupac, and I'm saying, man, I done talked with Tupac mama. I done met Tupac mama. So that's where the clash come from. So when his son died, nigga, from what I understand, his son was a street nigga playing street. From what I understand, nigga's son was a street nigga playing street. So, you know, that's what comes with the street. So, I said some horrible things about that nigga's son. Nigga said some horrible things about me. So I made a public apology. Let me just make a comparison. This is why I admire the Christian. Look at Woody. Woody went Christian, Jesus, Bible, church. All these other niggas talking, assalamu alaikum, mosque, no pork, none of that. Nigga, I said some horrible things about Woody mama and Woody daughter. Nigga, Woody was very forgiving. Woody was very forgiving, homie. So that's what warmed my heart about the nigga, homie. That's how I know he's sincere about really giving his life to the Lord. Me and this nigga had a long talk. Woody is very sincere about dedicating and really submitting his life to the Christian belief system, homie. So he was very forgiving. And I probably said even more horrible things about his daughter being Muslim than I said about Gilly's being king. So
yeah, but Gilly's probably, I haven't had a brother or a sister that passed. I don't think you have. So Gilly's probably going through something that we don't even know how that feels.
From what I heard, he wasn't really connecting deeply with his son. He got another son he don't have nothing to do with. That's just talk. But if I'm mourning and going through something, homie, yeah, I ain't bringing it to the internet. Yeah, if I'm mourning and going through something, I ain't bringing it to the internet. But I understand, homie. I ain't never lost a child. Couldn't imagine losing a child and burying my boy. But if my boy was playing gangster, then nigga, it is what it is.
Did you watch this interview?
No, I ain't watched it yet. I'm gonna watch it though. Your must have been sending it to me. And then, nigga, I done been in Philly and been invited to do community work in Philly. So I did it. Remember, homie, I would go do the partnership with the trash pickup in Philly. With me, you, Big Reed, and some more community leaders out there in Philly. Homie, that was just for me riding through Philly, seeing how much trash was on the block. So now, I done been invited to speak at the Mike Scott Youth Study Center in Philly. It's just that the director of the youth center, he was more focused on meeting me as a celebrity than me coming in and talking to the kids. So, nigga, I challenge Gilly, nigga, what y'all done other than just talking? You niggas got sponsorship, endorsement deals. Nigga, I ain't got none of that. But I started from the bottom, working in the community. That's how I became viral. World Star Hip Hop had posted community activists snitches on Ford Trade gangster Crips. That's what the headline. That's how I went viral. Community activists taking on the Crips and the Bloods. That's how I became known. So what that nigga talking about?
And I think it's more valid too that, you know, after you blew up as who you are today, a lot of old clips of you at the courthouse and you know, community stuff came out on its own.
Yeah, homie. So I literally worked on a lot of capital murder, and murder cases by way of a partnership with Shannon Ross Criminal Defense Mitigation Firm. So I partnered with one of North Texas most well-known capital murder defense attorney, the guy by the name of Mitch Nolte. I've actually interviewed him on my podcast once before. So I'm literally partnering with a lot of white attorneys and mitigation specialists to help alleviate long sentences for young black males. So all this is documented. It's just when I came to the internet, the persona took off so big and propelled me so much out into the world that what I was doing online became so viral. It began to in the search engine. It began to supersede what I was actually doing in the community. Because when I was actually doing in the community, I wasn't cussing. Nigga, I had a bow tie on. My shirt tail was tucked in. I was very articulate. I didn't smoke weed in front of the camera. I didn't use the word nigga. So those videos hardly got any views. Those videos didn't really start getting views until I started getting big on the internet and people started Googling and seeing that there was another side to the persona. He got stuck on a persona. But nigga, I mean, Wallow don't do a motherfucking thing for nobody, nigga. Them niggas ain't doing nothing in Philly. Them niggas ain't putting nobody on.
I think Wallow does go to prisons and things like that, and he does a lot of
They do a lot of talking. They do a lot of talking. I actually do a lot of public speaking too. But nigga, I did a lot of work in the community, feeding, clothing, sheltering, showing up in courts, visitation rooms. So I just wasn't giving presentation, homie. I was putting my own money back out off into the community, homie. When kids got out of the juvenile detention center, I was partnering with Miss King, a lady who actually been working in the juvenile detention center here in Dallas County for almost 35 years. I was partnering with her when the kids got out of Medlock Juvenile Facility, taking them over to Boss Talk shop, nigga, put new clothes on. So I was even doing that when I started working on the internet. Me and you done stuff. Me and Rainwater, we done went inside of high schools. Nah, homie, the murder changed me. We went and got Duck Mama, Tuka Mama, Mo 3 Mama. So, homie, I ain't no in the rap world and done that. They ain't went and got these niggas mama. They been celebrating with the killer. So that's been my beef with Wallow and Gilly. You niggas went and reached back to the real victim. You niggas been playing with the rap. Celebrating with so for him to get on there and say that, and it's easily documented, homie. You can easily Google what I've done because it's documented. Your documentation beat conversation.
In the old video, you said that Gilly, because I guess Gilly has a no snitching policy as well. You said that it's kind of like hypocritical. Yeah. And from what I heard, the police, the Philly Police Department, haven't identified the young 17-year-old who got killed. They haven't identified him as his son's killer. The kid hasn't been identified as Gilly's son's killer. That's Gilly just talking. Yeah, the 17-year-old killer, allegedly, this guy, he had the highest score in his grades, really good at basketball. His first video, that's what really got him killed. And they said he killed about 4 or 5 guys. Yeah. So this dude was really causing hell. So they say. Yeah. So they say allegedly. But yeah, man. I mean, this interview is big right now. Would you ever go on Club Shay Shay?
Yeah, man. We actually been trying to get on Club Shay Shay, but from my understanding is Ocho Cinco with me, but Shannon Sharp really don't fuck with me. They done brought me up and mentioned me several times on Club Shay Shay.
What is this?
Yeah, nah, homie. I came into this metaverse world attacking the industry, going against the industry. Whether that's the football, the basketball.
He gonna kill himself.
During the Black Lives Matter. So I come speaking against that. So it's hard for me, like Shannon Sharp, to embrace.
Kill yourself, homeboy.
Because
I promise you won't.
They really the boule. When you look at Wallow Gilly, them niggas ain't the niggas, them the boule who the white folks pat on the back and prop up. Them ain't the real voice of the niggas. Them ain't giving no real motherfucking game. Man, can't homie. So I come standing on the shoulders of the people. That's why I ain't got no deal. That's why I ain't got no sponsorship. That's why I've been clawing to get up this ladder. They've been trying to kick me down, close the doors on me. Black celebrity hood, they hadn't embraced me. That's why I hadn't done the Breakfast Club. That's why you hadn't seen me on the Club Shay Shay. Nigga, that's why, because the elite blacks don't embrace me. I'm too real. I can go down the list of who I always love. Homie, who all these niggas love got sexual allegations against them. Violence against women, accusations against them. Whether that's Joe Budden, homie, all them niggas, homie, there ain't no smut on my name. It ain't no dirt. You ain't got no dirt on me, man. No accusation, no allegation, no nothing. So it's kind of hard for me to sit down because I'm really too real for it. And if it gets serious, and I have to step away from the online internet persona, what can go back and forth with me when I roll out my resume about what I really done. Now, once I quit playing and quit joking and talk about who and what Charleston White really is, motherfucking quiet. Motherfucking quiet. You talking about years of community work without a grant. I never applied for a grant. I never got online and post my cash out asking for money. I never sought out no donations, no nothing. Went straight to the people. Because I understand if I'm speaking for this group of people, then this group of people need to be supporting me. So now I found out a way to be supported by the community. Extorting the street. I literally came into the game extorting the street. Drug dealers, gangbangers, threatening to call the police on you if you don't help me come do this. So, nah, homie, so if I get serious, that's why the nigga can't sit down with me. Give me a serious interview like Shay did Gilly. I break the internet. There's an interview where me and Nick Cannon done. Homie, all he got to do is release that interview. Me and Nick Cannon done an interview in his cyber truck. And it got serious talking about what and who I really am and what I do in real life. Homie, that'll kill everything. But for whatever reason, they won't release it. For whatever reason, Nick Cannon won't release it, my nigga. But nigga, it's one of the most positive interviews. But nah, it ain't too many black celebrities that can stand next to me, homie, when we talk about what we done for the people. Or what I done before I became famous. I'm just reaping the reward from when I was doing the work, homie, and didn't get nothing for the fruits of my labor. Now I'm getting the reward from the fruits of my labor from working in the community. And in the process, discovered that I'm a little funny, you know, while I do this. I didn't know I was funny at first. Yeah, I didn't know I was funny.
I think you get a lot of respect too, because everything you say, proof comes out years later. Like the starter jacket situation.
Yeah.
It was like an old news clip that floated around on the internet of the 4 kids in Fort Worth. Killed somebody over a starter jacket.
Yeah, it actually mentioned my victim's name, Michael Levy. So yeah,
sorry about that. But we put 2 and 2 together, and we were like, damn, this is the Charleston White shit from. Yeah. So it was like, you know, everything you say years later, it's the receipt online.
I ain't been caught lying to the people yet, homie. I don't lie, steal, and I don't cheat. Yeah, I don't cheat people. Yeah, I don't cheat people. yeah, I don't cheat people. I don't lie, I don't steal from people, and I don't cheat people. Those are my 3 basic principles in how I operate in life. So I don't wake up looking to do harm to people. Most of the beef that I've had on the internet has been to me responding to what somebody done said about me, not me attacking nobody. Then you can go down.
You can attack people sometimes,
but you can't name one person out of an attack.
I mean, between like the whack 100s and.
Nigga, I was responding to whack. I attacked the game. I attacked the game being accused for messing with that underage girl and losing a lawsuit for the sexual case. Whack 100 came in response to trying to defend the game.
Boom.
I mean, like the King Bonds and shit. Those are people that you kind of.
Nigga, I attacked King Von. He was dead. I didn't know who he was before he died. I attacked him when he was dead.
Oh my God.
Everybody else was in response to me attacking King Von.
Screenshot.
King Von was the killer. Who cared about a killer? Not just a one killer. This nigga was a serial killer, documented by the FBI. That he's killed more than 2 people. Nigga, he's praised, he's reverenced, he's admired. And I'm saying, nigga, he killed black people. And niggas just seem to have a problem. And niggas only seem to have a problem when a white police officer kill a black person. Other than that, don't nobody care about a black person being killed. So I started recommending maybe we need more police shooting. Oh man, he a sellout. That seems like that's the only time niggas come together.
Press.
Then I started recommending niggas go to jail. Niggas say, man, what kind of nigga will wish jail upon somebody? I just saw a video of Gilly recommending niggas have to go to jail now. Years ago they would come against. I just seen a video where Gilly saying need to go to jail. But when I was saying it 5 years ago, oh man, who would come through that? I wouldn't wish jail on my worst enemy. I wish jail on anybody. Yeah, nigga. Cause I think jail do a nigga some good. So now her get so now
Definitely T-1.
I just been attacking the hypocrisy. I've been doing the same thing that the rapper is doing. The same
like
thing.
you came for Kevin Gates and he kind of won you over with his civilized response. Came at a few people in
Kevin Gates made a nigga feel this small. Yeah, his response made a nigga feel that small. Because I wasn't expecting that kind of response. You know, I'm still thinking Mr. Kevin Gates that kicked that woman when he was on stage. Nah, nigga, I'm still thinking it's that kind of nigga. So when he come back and
Saint, what do you think of Doge, Department of Government Efficiency? Would you consider doing a video on your honest opinion? I want to do a video on Doge as a concept, but in short, so far so good. I despise Elon Musk. I think that he is a great devil and he reveals his true nature bit by bit. He also comes from a devil's seed. His father impregnated his own daughter. This is factual, and he admits to this. So Elon is a devil, and he comes from the seed of the devil. This does not mean he's not clever. Many of them are, the most effective ones. And I think so far so good on Doge. Certainly Trump will have to be mindful of Elon doing too much. And we also have to remember this is a place called America. And Elon is not an American, he's a South African. And I don't want that to ever be forgotten, but it only shows how racist we truly are, all of us, in as much as we forget that Elon's a foreigner because he has white skin. Whereas if he was like, looks like Cash Patel,
Maria. Alright, we sound good. So this one goes, marriage is a scam. My own horror story. Did you hear that one, honey?
No, I heard.
You did? You ready for this?
You gaslighting me right now?
I'm gaslighting you. Alright, we got Ashley sitting in today, a little sugar thing. Alright, let's get this going. This should be fun.
Hey everybody, welcome back. I made it back outside finally. It looks like the temperatures are on the rise for a little bit. We got more cold temperatures coming next week, but I guess that's just the way and the nature of it when you got kind of the polar vortex they're talking about. Today, I wanted to delve into a little bit more personal stuff, sort of a warning.
Okay, first, now that we got the weather out of the way. My bad. Okay. Alright, here we are. Steve James, on the roll.
For those of you who don't really understand the nature of marriage, especially in the Western world today, and I'm going to delve into my experience and my story quite a bit deeper. For warning, this is a bit of a horror story, and you are going to be reeling from it and probably hiding under your covers by the time I'm done telling you everything, but here goes. As most of you know, there is a huge amount of divorce happening. The rate of divorce is somewhere between 50 and 60%, depending on which numbers you look at. And a lot of people are getting divorced because initially the woman files for divorce 70 to 80% of the time.
I know. I'm a bitch.
You bitch.
How dare I?
Kick you in the head. Sorry. Anyway, back to Steve. Steve James. That's a good name. That sounds like a Bible name.
Two first names.
Two first names.
Because our society is completely falling apart, and it's encouraging people to break up families over literally nothing, go chasing after your dreams, break up everything, and ruin your life. Well, I have a personal horror story that will kind of explain a little bit of my motivation, even for starting my YouTube channels, and especially this one, and kind of fill you in on my background to a certain degree. I went through a divorce. I was married years ago, had kids when I was young, and I know I've been told I look a little younger than I actually am. I'm in my mid to late 40s. I don't like to give too much identifying information. You just, my name's Steve, and that's where I'm at.
Smart.
To get right into it, I
think he's going somewhere. Okay, this video has 147,000 views and 7,000 comments, so I think it's coming. It's safe to say. Just saying.
through a divorce. They ended up, after everything was happening, they ended up giving her alimony. She wanted to file with the court to get alimony. There were several things that were really in the way of it that I attempted to protest. She was living with a man, very likely pregnant with his child at the time, and doing stuff together on bank accounts, and even the following year filing their taxes together, even though she was legally married to me. Still going through the divorce.
What's with this fraud?
She got alimony. Jeez.
Well, she was filing for alimony.
No, I think she just
stupid.
said she got it.
But she can't have alimony until they're divorced. They're still legally married, and she's living with this other guy, probably pregnant, and filing her taxes with him.
They're definitely doing the hokey pokey like they all hang out. We both know this.
Jeez. What is wrong with people? I know. I'm a representation of all women. I understand.
You really are.
It's okay. I'm sure we'll watch.
We're gonna have a big fucking talk. This is not good.
As time went on, I eventually got a hold of an attorney who was able to help me with it, but part of the reason why I had to is that when I initially protested all of this, the judge looked right at me and said, well, you can't just come in here and say that you think she's living with this other person and involved in a romantic relationship. You're going to have to provide some kind of evidence and proof, which led me to go through multiple different attorneys until somebody wasn't shaking in their boots and actually would take this on to fight it. To get to that point, we eventually I found a good attorney that was willing to do that. We got a hold of a private investigator, got a hold of the information, but as you know, in the court system, sometimes you can be waiting for 6, 8, 10 months for a court date to get something in front of a judge and get something addressed. After a few years, finally towards the end of the divorce, and after they were likely going to determine that I owed some sort of debt, which unfortunately where I live, debts cannot just be vacated afterwards. So she essentially can potentially get cash and prizes even if caught lying. Now my attorney warned me that's probably what's going to happen. He said, we're going to get in there, we're going to have the private investigator's evidence, we're going to have all this evidence against her, and even when she gets caught lying, they aren't going to do a thing about it. She'll be caught committing perjury and fraud personally against you and having manipulated the court system, and they're not going to do anything about it. They're just going to strip it from here on forward. And I was like, wait a minute, so I'm going to owe a debt, even though she is being forced to admit and proven with evidence that she lied about it all? And he's like, yep.
It's crazy.
You're going to hate the system after that, and I did. How can you? How can you support that level of corruption?
Well, that's a big reason why most cats, and especially dudes, are kind of like, when I first met Ashley, let me get her in here, keep forgetting her here. It's our relationship, but I told her, I was like, I don't really know about the paperwork situation with marriage, you know what I mean? I was kind of, but this is the kind of shit that happens. Like, imagine a dude, I don't know how many dudes successfully pull that off and get alimony from the chick. So, like, flip the position.
I mean, I don't know if you could get alimony, because technically I believe alimony is owed by, so like, if one spouse makes significantly more than the other, or one spouse does not work at all and is a homemaker, that's when alimony is typically applied. It's to make up the difference of lifestyle, especially with kids, to be able to afford to take care of their children and keep a consistent lifestyle.
Okay, that makes sense. But like, let me put it to you this way: imagine you're making you're the cat's tits, right? You're baking the bread.
You saying I'm not the cat's tits?
You are the cat's tits. Well, let's say you got the keys to the bakery. You're making all the money. Yeah. Okay. And I'm chilling. I'm just hanging out. I'm Mr. Mom.
Sorry, I don't think
Will you just let me talk? I'm hanging out. I'm the home keeper, right? You're making big dollars. All of a sudden, I decide, as a man, that I want to go out. I'm older. I want a divorce. I'm already shacking with some chick down at the Holiday Inn, right? Well, we're doing our taxes together, me and this other broad. And then I come to you through the court system, and I want money every month for life. How you gonna feel about that?
I mean, the same way that guy feels. I think any human being should have the same feeling, you know, unless you're just a selfish, you know, person, which clearly this person is.
But there's a lot of this. That's the fucked up.
I know, but I think there's a lot both ways. But I understand from the man, it's typically the man's the breadwinner, and this is what they're scared of happening.
Yeah.
Which I can't blame them.
No, you can't. Anyways, back to Steve James. This is pretty gnarly stuff, though. I'm not saying this guy's perfect. Steve James, it sounds too good to be true. I'm not saying this guy is the man he's done no ill with. I don't want to say that. But probably the one as well. Just kidding.
Somebody's sleeping outside tonight.
So we got in there. Yes, she got convicted of alimony fraud, essentially. They stripped her of any further alimony payments. They weren't able to vacate the old debt because certain, I guess you could say, feminist laws have taken place here.
That man really sat there and took on
they
that.
kind
He
of
made me
contradict common
realize
sense that if
that's
somebody gets caught
crazy.
committing fraud, they shouldn't be able to benefit or profit from it. But the way that it was structured and set up, there's the Division of Support Enforcement that handles things like everything from child support to other things, and they were the ones that would eventually take on this debt and then come after me to make me pay it. Which means I am paying for somebody to live with another person,
No, he ain't supposed to be tapping
have children with them, live a whole life with them, and I can't really do much of anything about it. I might be able to file a personal lawsuit. And this is when this story
what this is.
Oh, wait, no, I have an idea. You ready for this? Resolve Inti, discard this. Go lose 3 treasure. What's up, guys? We're back here with some more Aether Drift Standard. And speaking of Aether Drift, by the time you're watching this video, the Pro Tour is this weekend, and it's probably already gone through at least a couple of rounds of Constructed. And there have been, now, by the time that you're watching this video, you'll probably have access to every single Pro Tour Aether Drift Standard deck list. But I'm recording this on Thursday morning, and I just played this deck last night. And I only saw this deck because it got posted on social media. Now, the person who posted this is a name you might recognize if you are interested in the Pioneer Rakdos tree deck. And that individual is Corey Leck, aka Jupiter Brando. Corey posted this deck list that they are playing in the Pro Tour this weekend, and I gotta tell you, it's kind of a banger. I did look at the metagame breakdown. There were 3 individuals playing a deck titled Mardu Monument, which I would imagine is this deck, so probably the individuals that Corey was working with. And this deck is, I don't really know what other word to describe it besides just absolutely brilliant. So the deck is, as the aforementioned name, Mardu Monument, is built around Monument to Endurance, which is, you know, a card that pays you off for discarding cards. You get to draw cards, make treasures, or have your opponent lose 3 life. This card works very, very well with Guardian of New Benalia, which is a very often forgotten card from Dominaria United. So 2 mana, 2/2. Enlist, that ability not going to have a ton of relevance here with this particular deck. The ability you want to pay attention to is discard a card, creature gains indestructible, tap it. Now, why that's important is it is a way to discard cards that is not bounded by mana. And you can do it any number of times per turn. So, if you have Monument in play, you can discard 3 cards to get all 3 abilities from Monument and not have to spend any additional mana. Now, you might think to yourself, well, if you only have one monument, that doesn't sound that appealing, right? You're discarding 3 cards to draw a card, make a treasure, and have your opponent lose 3 life. What gets really crazy is when you pair it with a second monument, because then you discard 3 cards, you draw 2, make 2 treasures, and have your opponent lose 6 life. You can do that on your turn, and once on their turn, because this ability can be activated on their turn as well. And that's where the spice comes in. So there are 4 copies of the Lycosynth Gardens. And when I first saw this deck list, I didn't really understand it. I wasn't really sure how often you would want to use the Gardens to copy Monument. But because of how double Monument is just so unbelievably just insane with Guardian Paraphernalia, you do find yourself wanting a second Monument in play basically every game. So you go turn 2 Guardian, turn 3 Monument, turn 4, you play Guardians, copy the Monument, you now have 2 Monuments and a Guardian. You can discard cards on your turn, have your opponent lose 6, discard cards on their turn, they lose 6, then it goes back to you and they lose 6 more. It's probably going to be enough to kill them basically that turn cycle. So once you have the second Monument in play, they really only have a 1-turn window to do anything. Past those 2 cards, we do have a lot of other ways to discard. So we have Inti, Fear of Missing Out, Bitter Triumph. Those are the main other ways to discard. That ability is not tied to the Unearth. It's just when it comes into play from the graveyard. So if you return it with something like Helping Hand or Recommission, you get to trigger the Phyrexian Dragon Engine, discard your hand, draw 3, that'll trigger Monument, so on and so forth. We have a couple of Zorlings here, which is pretty cool because if your Monuments get killed, say like Disenchants or something like that, you can do that. You can also just get back other stuff you discard, where you can go Guardian, say discard a Monument, play Zorleen, pay 2 mana, get back the Monument. Similar with like Fear of Missing Out and Inti, you can just rebuy that stuff with Zorleen. And then there's also a cool line where you can play Thrill Seeker, put counters on something, sack the Thrill Seeker, attack with Zorleen, get back Thrill Seeker, and then kind of just pop off from there. Thrill Seeker also works very well with Recommission and Helping Hand. And then past that, you have some kill spells, you have a couple of Torches, a couple of Burst Lightnings, the aforementioned Bitter Triumphs. The mana, we can't really get too fancy with the mana, because we already have 4 colorless lands in our deck. It's not entirely a colorless land, because it can fix mana sometimes, but for the most part, early on, it's, for all intents and purposes, a colorless land, so you don't really have a lot of room for utility lands. And then in the sideboard, it's a pretty clean sideboard. You got 3 Pest Control for the Pixie matchup, 3 Loran, very good against Domain, extra Thrill Seekers, which I'm guessing are for matchups where it's hard to attack your opponent and you just need more burn damage. Ghost Vacuum for Graveyard Hate, Destroy Evil for Domain, and then Shelter for red. So, very clean sideboard and really, really sick looking deck list. I really think you guys are going to enjoy the games on this one because I had a ton of fun playing it. And this one, I mean, it really has a lot of potential. You can really pop off with 2 Monuments in play. It just gets completely out of control. So I really hope you guys enjoy the games, and we will be back here in just a little bit for round number 1. Probably fine. Assuming that if this is a matchup where Torch cooks, then this hand's good. Does me keeping this opening hand make you more likely to vote yes or no? I don't actually know what the answer is. I could go either way. Oh, Mirex. Okay, alright, the yes voters can come in now. Okay, this deck's broken. Yep, alright, we did it. And by we, I mean Corey did it. I've taken 2 turns in game 1 of this deck, and I'm already sold. I'm already fucking sold. Okay, I'm not sold on this, but I think I just played Zorleen this turn. Dude, Zorleen with Voldaren Thrillseeker is unreal. Holy shit. This is absurd. What the fuck? God damn. So I can go Recommission. Oh, I don't have enough mana, right? 2, 3, I need 5 mana. No! That's fucked up. That's mega fucked up. Nah, we didn't have enough mana. I don't think so. I'll be cool with the CFD. Alright, don't hit a spell, please. Thank you. That's huge they did not hit a spell there. Ooh, okay. I don't have enough mana, right? I guess I can go Torch, Sack Treasure. This is Ward 1, right? So Torch, Sack Treasure, pay the Ward, and then commission back Stormbeam, and just wait till next turn. Yeah, I think that's the best line that I have. So do this, sack this.
That's just so sad.
Does copying the treasure give us a bat? You're asking the wrong person. I have no idea. I have no clue.
In order to mitigate this geopolitical risk, this technological surprise risk, we have to have a serious national plan for disclosure, for being increasingly transparent and having a more open, serious conversation about UAPs. Most people haven't been paying close attention, so it sounds kind of kooky. But if you've been paying close attention, you read the language and you listen to the statements made by some of our most senior national security officials and congressional, national leadership, they're as serious as a heart attack. I mean, this is like no joke.
Convoke with that. Oh, this is trash.
Matthew Pine, welcome to London.
Thanks for having me.
How you doing?
Doing pretty well.
So, we're going to get to UAPs again today, but is either a massive psyop or is real? My bias wants this all to be real. That's the bit I'm more interested in. And I would say, over the last year, I'm definitely this is more real. But I'm also in the world of those motherfuckers if this is a psyop. I told you a story about my brother tricking me about Alien 1, so I've been psyoped already on this shit. So that's where I am. Where are you in the whole kind of this is, because you had this like percentage thing before.
Mm-hmm. Well, these are clearly real phenomena. Even the government has said that. The question is, what underlying explanation do we think accounts for the most mysterious aspects of the phenomenon? And there I don't have like high credences in terms of any particular explanation. But I think it's very clear that there's something exotic, very unusual happening that we can't prosaically explain. And so that forces us into categories of explanation that we maybe had not historically treated very seriously. So that's like where I am. I think we are now in a position where we have to take those more exotic explanations very seriously.
Definitely real?
Yeah, definitely real. These are real objects displaying anomalous performance characteristics.
And none of that could be faked as part of a psyop?
Well, there are certain technologies that we've had for a while that can fake or spoof detections in different sensor platforms. So it's going back to like the 1960s of sort of spoofing Soviet radars, making them see sort of phantom, detections of aircraft to manipulate their defense systems and try to confuse their strategic decision making. That's sort of a long history of kind of deception and spoofing in especially electronic warfare. So that's clearly an investment area of priority for the U.S. government and many other governments for many decades. I think in any particular case that you look at, especially if you're in the government, you have to assume that's potential explanation, right? Are the Chinese essentially spoofing our sophisticated sensors? Do they have some capability to make us see things on a variety of different platforms that are not actually there? And I believe that those assessments have been done in many cases to sort of rule that out as a possibility. And what remains are sort of real physical objects.
So I think this is one of those big questions everyone has in life. I think it's probably, I would guess it's up there with the 4 or 5 most important questions in the world, like, are we alone? And I think during, certainly my childhood, you would see certain reports, you would read about Roswell, but everything seemed to kind of like a little bit silly.
Mm-hmm.
The witness testimonies were usually somebody who felt like some farmer, some rancher, who saw something. The photographic evidence now itself looks dated. It looks a little bit like the alien spaceship back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s when these things happened, and it was always kind of like, there was always like a UFO crowd who hoped these things were real, but it never felt real. Suddenly now it feels real and legitimate. And why is that now? What's changed? It's because, and the reason I ask that is you go down the rabbit hole, and then now start to look about things like, oh no, Roswell was real, and so there's a legitimacy that didn't exist before.
Yeah, I mean, there's been an official set of activities that you can look at starting, maybe 2017 with the release of those New York Times videos and a number of initial individuals coming out, with Elizondo, Christopher Mellon, et cetera, that kind of got this ball rolling in terms of the official process to try to break down some of the internal taboos that they felt were creating a sort of an air safety hazard, right? There were individuals inside the Navy in particular that were encountering these objects in the course of their official duties, and because the internal social taboo was so strong, they weren't officially reporting it. And so this was seen as just a basic operational hazard that needed to be addressed. And that grabbed the attention of some members of Congress, in particular in the Senate. And that kickstarted a series of amendments to the National Defense Authorization Act, kind of the principle authorizing language for all of our defense programs, that stood up a number of different reporting requirements and offices to take a harder look at this question and report back to Congress. And that has sort of been the sequence of sort of steps we've been taking for the past few years, as Congress, especially a few members of the Senate, have asked questions, gotten answers. Some of those answers have not been satisfactory, so they put in more requirements, more strict reporting, and try to get to new questions that they feel like they don't have sufficient answers to. And so we've been in this sort of escalation of congressional interest, where every time they've sort of peeled back a particular onion, they've had more questions. So that's where we are now. Sort of the progression of those questions has gotten to the point where now they're asking very pointed questions about very specific things related to legacy programs that have been alleged to retrieve and reverse engineer technologies of unknown origin and biological materials. Those are definitions that they put into the bills that the Senate passed last year. And so that's kind of where we are now, right? It's now moved from kind of this social fiction, it's kind of taboo in historical imaginations and our sort of different narratives over the past several decades into an official focus of government investigation.
And how do these corridors of power work within U.S. government? Because it seems to me like there's secret departments, secret budgets, but who are these secret departments? Where does their authorization come from? Where do their objectives come from? Which departments talk to which departments? Like, who's benefiting from it?
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole archipelago of official secrets. Different government agencies have different mission responsibilities and different authorizing either statutes or executive orders to determine what sorts of information is classified and to what level and what sort of degrees of protections it's afforded. If you zoom out, there are kind of two big buckets of secrecy. There's the Department of Energy, which has its own law, the Atomic Energy Act, which was its initial sort of formulation started to take shape in the late 1940s, but it's really in the early 1950s that it was codified. And it established a kind of whole separate regime for protecting our nuclear secrets, right? Both restricted data that we think about in terms of nuclear weapons design, as well as information we collect on foreign nuclear programs. That's sort of trans-classified foreign nuclear information. We also classify basic physics under Atomic Energy Act, so we can, within the Atomic Energy Act, there's certain information that's put born secret, meaning it doesn't require any special designation by an original classification authority. If it meets the definitions of the statute, it is secret by definition. So any individual that's just like a scientist that is discussing certain basic physics could be potentially violating that statute. And so that definition applies to, or that statute applies to a number of different things that it defines, including special nuclear material. So it sets up a whole arrangement of security clearances. The equivalent of top secret is called the Q clearance. So if you work in the Department of Energy, the main subset of the Department of Energy that works on nuclear materials is the National Nuclear Security Administration, and they handle essentially our nuclear stockpile and make sure that the weapons are ready to give to the Defense Department for use in our platforms. So that's a whole architecture of secrecy. Within the Department of Energy, they also have their own special access program, so things that need to be protected with extraordinary measures, right, to ensure that no adversary can, one, even understand that they exist. So those kind of the classic black programs. So DOE has their own architecture for special access programs. And then you have the more traditional, much larger zone of classified activities within the Defense Department and the intelligence community. Those are the main big buckets. But even things like DHS, Department of Homeland Security, has their own special access programs. NASA even has their own special access programs. And so within the Defense Department or the intelligence community, which is where the majority of the folks that work on classified materials work, you get access.
Should you study? Should you study science? Should you study science when there is now an AI system that can say, hey, we are maybe even better than a human in science? Let's have a look at this latest paper here, February 18, 2025, Google, and Stanford University. And they talk here about a very interesting topic because science is something that is real close to my heart. Now, let me be clear. Google and Stanford did a beautiful job, and those are 70 pages on biomedicine, really beautiful. But you know what? Today I'm in a dark mode, and I see other possibilities for this technology to be applied to. And I would like to make a video here about this. Identifying yourself is something you will understand only at the very end of this video, but I think it is the most important point of this video right now. Now, let's be clear. Google and Stanford tell us, hey, this work does not aim to completely automate the scientific process with AI. And I think, hey, this is great that it's not happening yet. And they say, hey, the co-scientist is purpose-built for a scientist in the loop. So we have a human in the loop, and this is a collaborative new paradigm to help here a human domain expert augment their hypothesis generation process and guide the exploration. This is the co-scientist, the AI system, guides not a scientific exploration that follows. And I think, yeah, this is really coherent with the latest news I got here from Bloomberg. Why did Microsoft admit that AI is making us real? But let's go back to Stanford and Google, and they say scientists can specify their research goals, including here informing the co-scientist of some desirable attributes for a hypothesis, or co-scientists now the research proposal should bring. The constraint that the synthesized output should satisfy. Now look at this sentence. This sentence looks so innocent, but I think there is all the world wrong with the sentence. So the co-scientist and the AI system should now write the research proposal and create the research proposal for you. And the human scientist can specify their research goals, which is really nice, and I understand the intention of Google and Stanford. Don't get me wrong. But if this goes on, this is not just for the people who are really doing science. You can use this system for almost everything. And especially if you, as a client, you can dictate here what the constraint of the output should be. So you can say, hey, I want that the output of this research is pollinated. You know what's happened? I'm entering now in a fever dream. And I imagine that somebody says, hey AI, we are the tobacco industry, we are the lobbying group, and we need a new research to provide here, let's say, some fresh views on our nicotine products. And then I imagine that somewhere in a global corporation, there's a little Skynet and it says, hey, human workers, for 20 million you can get a drug, and for $50 million you get a new study with your constraint with the output that you decided and that you want, that you need within the next 4 hours. And here, I don't like this idea that science is now used for some global corporation. And Google and Stanford say here, they, and assume they mean now humans, can also collaborate and provide feedback in a variety of ways. And I say, hey, we're so thankful that humans are allowed to provide feedback here, including here directly supplying their own, let's say, human ideas. And again, I'm so grateful that humans are allowed to implement their ideas and hypotheses. We find now those generated by the AI systems, or using here their natural language chat to guide the AI system. And this guiding the AI system is now a double-sided sword. Now, this can go in both directions. If you're a scientist, independent, beautiful, you go for pure science. But imagine our, let's say, my fever dream, our tobacco lobbying group, I don't know. And then goes on, the co-scientist works for significant scaling of test time compute. Yes, finally, we are again here at TTS. Isn't this beautiful? And finally, Google and Stanford tell us the agentic nature, of course, what else should it be, of the AI system. It enables it to recursively self-critique its output and use tools such as web search to provide itself with feedback that iteratively refines its hypothesis and the research proposal. And again, I have my fever dream, and I have here this idea that somebody says, hey, we at the tobacco industry lobbying group, we would like that you refer here to all our other co-financed, absolutely independent studies just paid by us, but done here by other groups here that we published here on the web. So you can direct here the web search and the quality sources that you would like to have integrated, and you can have some feedback. You can provide the system with ideas what it should do for you. And this is great if you do pure science, independent science. But you know that it opens up here other gates. Let's say my fever dreamer said, okay, human, add some 5 terawatt of energy and it's a deal. Done. So where is here this spark that we need? Where is our genius idea? Google and Stanford tells us, hey, we introduce another AI co-scientist, and we develop and introduce this that goes beyond literature and what we know now as deep research tools. OpenAI has a deep research, and we have other deep research tools. And I just showed you here in my last video via Grok 3, and we have here the thinking mode, and I did the video on the thinking mode, and in my last video I showed you the deep search mode of Grok 3. So they want to combine now with this and say we even go beyond deep search and deep thinking. We go beyond this. We combine this and we go a step further. I think this is now an interesting idea from a scientific point of view. Because what they do, they have a relative simple configuration. They have 6 specialized agents. Whatever those agents do, I will show you in a minute. And then they have here, and this is assume here an interesting point of attack, a supervisor agent. So we have 7 agents that interact here within this new AI co-scientist framework. And of course, if you look here in detail then at the context and memory configuration of the code, I would have here that we even can improve on Google and Stanford AI co-scientist. Yeah, you guess here what I would improve here. So if you look here, and this is a screenshot here from the study, to be absolutely precise. So for each agent, they defined it, they coded it beautifully. Is there something new to it? No, not really. You know all of this. Just want to draw your attention to one very specific agent, and it is called the meter review agent. And this enables here the feedback propagation and the learning of the complex system. So here, yes, we should assume or associate this more. The meter review agent. It provides feedback applicable to all agents. So you immediately see the importance to all the other agents in the network. And with the feedback loop here, the cosine is continuously learns and improves here with more compute skill. So we are here at inference compute. And yeah, this has some. Now, looking at the facts, you remember a video did a week ago where I showed you, hey, we take 9 deep agents, and I showed you here some beautiful new study called Karma, and those 9 agents now optimize a knowledge graph. And I think the interplay between agents and knowledge graph will have some significance for the future. Here, remember here my point 8, you immediately get it. We don't need just a simple memory, but we need some very specific memory. But if you want to see here the other 6 agents, you can view this from a different perspective. You have an idea generator. You have a peer reviewer, you have kind of a scientific evaluation committee, you have an innovation driver if you want here, a knowledge organizer, and a strategic analyst, and this here is our team. So the idea is not new, the code is not new, the function is not really something specific. It is just important that you see we need 7 agents here. The interplay of those agents. So we are so definitely in a multi-agent system. And you might ask, why can't a single LLM or VLM do this job? Why do we have to do this? But even more interesting, especially if you go for self-learning systems like Google and Stanford does, I think how the self-assembly structure here for a knowledge graph with the API agent in the interaction in providing new knowledge from the environment. I think this is an absolute fascinating topic. But you know what? I think we can achieve here an obedient AI system even today, doing all the science and research results that we want. Performing all the results and all the different, web search, and we define what the agent should accept here as a reliable source, where we give our own preferences to the AI system. Do you understand? AI is simply, it is not anymore a pure scientific instrument to provide here independent knowledge. But suddenly this AI system, this multi-AI system, this multi-AI agent system, whoever has access to this, whoever codes them, you can have an influence that is remarkable. But you know what? I did a short test, and you can do this even without 8 AI agents like here in Google and Stanford. You know what I did? I went with ChatGPT 4 Omni. And I started here with 2 thematic topics in science that were completely diverse. There was no connex. And then, with 2 sweet prompts, and if you know how to do it, you can get ChatGPT 4 Omni to build something that is here, let's say, an overlap. That is not true, that does not exist, that it is not logic in any way. But if you ask here for omniscience in 3 prompts, you achieve exactly this. You get a result that you want. You get a result that you say, hey, have a look at this. Isn't this possible? Would you find here a formulation? Would you find a way? And 4 Omni finds a way. Now the way is absolutely incorrect. The way is absolutely unlogic. But the way that it is presented, it sounds to somebody who is not familiar with this topic like this could be real. And this development in AI, I kind of don't like this development. But let's come here to the end. And you know what? I think an advanced AI system at least will deliver the result that you want. Now let's come back to the very beginning of this video. Identify yourself. Who is you? What is the aim if you apply AI system? What is the goal that you want to achieve? If you are a government, if you are a political party, if you are a global corporation, if you are a marketing agency, if you just want to influence as many people as possible, would AI be the perfect tool for this now? And I think the answer is yes. More and more you're interested, hey, maybe you want to subscribe.
What if all of the world's biggest problems, from climate change to curing diseases to disposal of plastic waste, what if they all had the same solution? A solution so tiny it would be invisible. I'm inclined to believe this is possible thanks to a recent breakthrough that solved one of the biggest problems of the last century: how to determine the structure of a protein.
It's been described to me as equivalent to Fermat's last theorem, but for biology.
Over 6 decades, tens of thousands of biologists painstakingly worked out the structure of 150,000 proteins. Then, in just a few years, a team of around 15 determined the structure of 200 million. That's basically every protein known to exist in nature. So how did they do it? And why does this have the potential to solve problems way outside the realm of biology?
A protein starts simply as a string of amino acids. Each amino acid has a carbon atom at the center, then on one side is an amine group, and on the other side is a carboxyl group. And the last thing it's bonded to could be one of 20 different side chains, and which one determines which of the 20 different amino acids this molecule is. The amine group from one amino acid can react with the carboxyl group of another to form a peptide bond. So a series of amino acids can bond to form a string, and pushing and pulling between countless molecules, electrostatic forces, hydrogen bonds, solvent interactions can cause this string to coil up and fold onto itself. This ultimately determines the 3D structure of the protein. And this shape is the thing that really matters about the protein. It's built for a specific purpose, like how hemoglobin has the perfect binding site to carry around oxygen in your blood.
These are machines. They need to be in their correct orientation in order to work together to move, for example, the proteins in your muscles. They change their shape a little bit in order to pull and contract.
But it would take people a long time to get the structure of just one protein.
Absolutely. So what should proteins look like? Was only started to answer really with experimental techniques.
The first way protein structure was determined was by creating a crystal out of that protein. This was then exposed to X-rays to get a diffraction pattern, and then scientists would work backwards to try to figure out what shape of molecules would create such a pattern. It took British biochemist John Kendrew 12 years to get the first protein structure. His target was an oxygen-storing protein called myoglobin, an important protein in our hearts. He first tried a horse heart, but this produced rather small crystals because it didn't have enough myoglobin. He knew diving mammals would have lots of myoglobin in their muscles since they're the best at conserving oxygen, so he obtained a huge chunk of whale meat from Peru. This finally gave Kendrew large enough crystals to create an X-ray diffraction image.
And when it came out, it looked really weird. People expected something kind of logical, mathematical, understandable, and it almost looked, I wouldn't say ugly, but intricate and complex, and kind of like if you see a rocket motor, right, and all the parts hanging off.
This structure, which has been called Turd of the Century, won Kendrew the 1962 Nobel Prize in Chemistry. Over the next 2 decades, only around 100 more structures were resolved. Even today, protein crystallization remains a big challenge.
Frankly, you know, it is not uncommon that just a couple protein structures can be someone's entire PhD. Sometimes just one, sometimes even just progress toward one.
And it's expensive. X-ray crystallography can cost tens of thousands of dollars per protein. So scientists sought another way to work out protein structure. It only costs around $100 to find a protein sequence of amino acids. So if you could use this to figure out how the protein would fold, that would save a lot of time, effort, and money.
I kind of know how carbon behaves, and I know how carbon sticks to a sulfur, and how that might, stick next to a nitrogen, and if these ones are here, then I can imagine this one folding, making that bond there. So it seems like if you have some sense of basic molecular dynamics, you might be able to figure out how this protein's going to fold.
One of the few true predictions in biology was actually Linus Pauling looking at just the geometry of the building blocks of proteins and saying, actually, they should make helices and sheets. That's what we call secondary structure, the very local kind of twists and turns of the protein.
But beyond helices and sheets, biochemists could not figure out any reliable patterns that would lead to the final structure of all proteins.
One reason for this is that evolution didn't design proteins from the ground up.
It's kind of like a programmer that doesn't know what they're doing, and whenever it looked good, they just kept adding that kind of thing, and that's how you end up with these both amazing objects and incredibly complex and hard to describe. They don't have purpose underneath them in the same way as like a human designed machine.
God, that was wicked.
To illustrate just how complicated this process can get, MIT biologist Cyrus Leventhal did a back-of-the-envelope calculation, and he showed that even a short protein chain with 35 amino acids can fold in an astronomical number of ways. So even if a computer checked the energy and stability of 30,000 configurations every nanosecond, it would take 200 times the age of the universe to find the correct structure. Refusing to give up, University of Maryland professor John Molt started a competition called CAST in 1994. The challenge was simple: to design a computer model that could take an amino acid sequence and output its structure. The modelers would not know the correct structure beforehand, but the output from each model would be compared to the experimentally determined structure. A perfect match would get a score of 100, but anything over 90 was considered close enough that the structure was solved. CAST competitors gathered at an old wooden chapel-turned conference center in Monterey, California. And at any point where a prediction didn't make sense, they were encouraged to tap their feet as friendly banter. There was a lot of foot tapping. In the first year, teams could not achieve scores higher than 40. The early frontrunner was an algorithm called Rosetta, created by University of Washington biologist David Baker. One of his innovations was to boost computation by
See how the glyphs fare and still.
Leather back, so you saw me back here. And I'm like, God. Oh, watch. I'm like, damn.
T-Mac was all five. He was Jimmy and Kobe and
had all the skills and all the athleticism, but he was 6'9".
You can't name 75 players better than Tracy McGrady, man.
I'll average easily 35, 40 points a game.
Here comes McGrady. Oh, he just shot the gravity right out of the building. And he takes it up again. Tracy McGrady did not just do that.
Prime Tracy McGrady will dominate today's NBA. Just think about it. His size, skill, and insane scoring ability were way ahead of his time. He'll fit right in with the modern game. At 6'8", he's got a silky smooth handle, insane athleticism, and can score from anywhere on the court. Defenses are definitely going to have a tough time dealing with him, especially with how important spacing and perimeter shooting are these days. In today's game, where the three-point shot is mandatory, McGrady, already a lethal shooter, will definitely be launching and sinking more threes, taking his scoring efficiency to a whole new level. His skill to generate his own shot off the dribble, knock down deep pull-ups, and drive to the rim effortlessly definitely places him in the same league as today's offensive superstars like KD, Jason Tatum, and Luka Doncic. But he brings even more explosiveness to the table. Plus, his underrated passing and playmaking skills set him up to be a point forward, making him super dangerous in today's positionless basketball scene. With his impressive length and agility, he could be that switchable wing defender. That's it's super valuable in the game today. Thanks to modern training techniques, sports science advancements, and smart load management, he could stretch out his prime years way longer than he did in his actual career, avoiding some of those pesky injuries that held him back. If McGrady were in a system that played to his strengths, like a fast-paced offense with top-notch floor spacing, I believe he could drop 35-plus points per game, making him an instant MVP candidate. With all the freedom to control the game and take advantage of those weaker defenses, thanks to the new rules that favor offensive players, it's pretty clear that McGrady will be right up there as one of the top 5 players in the league, or maybe even the absolute best. So here's a collection of NBA legends explaining how deadly prime T-Mac was. Enjoy the video.
Trace, I was trying to figure out what would you be like in today's game?
Look at some of these guys like James and, you know, these high-scoring guys that are shooting a lot more threes than myself and Kobe. Shot back in the days, averaging probably 10 threes a game. I average easily 35, 40 points a game.
Right?
Easily. I mean, I averaged 32 without even shooting that many threes.
I gotta say, bro, at least in my lifetime, you were probably one of the more harder guards. And I say to guard, in that respects of one dribble pull-up, like like one dribble pull-ups. People don't know how hard when you ISO, one dribble pull-up, two dribble pull-up, two dribble step, like to be able to control that without touch or touch on and off, right, is you can't manipulate that. Meaning that when I'm speaking to the basketball world, manipulation means I push up on Tracy and I push him one way. You have the know-how to not go that way and take control back.
You know, in today's league, the rules really apply and make it easy for an offensive player. You know what I'm saying? Whereas, you know, we played, and also having your 5-man now being able to, you know, spot up, shoot threes, spread the floor a little bit more. So opposing to when we played, you had a traditional 5-man, you had a traditional 4-man, power forward, you had a small forward. You maybe played with 2 shooters. Maybe, right? So in essence, that made that paint tight, right? Congested. So nowadays, paint is wide open because everybody can shoot the ball. You big man, well, look at Jokic. He's initiating the offense. And B, spotting up, shooting threes, handling the ball. Like it's a wide open one-on-one. Get a bucket.
When I used to play you in Toronto, it would probably be off a mismatch or a switch or something, right? When you got to Orlando, it was like I had to guard. And you had figured it out. And it's nothing worse than when somebody and I figured you're playing out. So yeah, man, it was like what I thought, because I think one time I actually got a piece of I got a piece. Because you used to have this high release.
Yeah, I jumped high.
You jumped high. You and McDyess probably just off a regular jump, like a lot of people don't even notice. Like on your turnaround, Joe, you don't even know how high you on top of you 6'11" max, so you saw it back here. And I'm like, God. I would watch. I was like, damn. Then Phil was like, yo, you gotta contest this guy. And then I'm just trying to contest at that point. But I can always remember going into I probably guarded you what 3, 4 years.
Yeah.
And then I got off that. We switched.
He was sliding them puppies, man.
Sliding them puppies, reaching. He had, you know what you don't get enough credit? Your handle.
Yeah.
Man, you don't get enough credit for your handle. You don't get enough credit for your quick moves. A lot of people don't know. Matt might catch it on the elbow. You know he gonna little boy everybody. Might just turn his shit.
Talk to us a little bit about your experience of the prime T-Mac. What was he like? You know what I mean? Matching up against him and seeing him up close in the league.
Bro, he was so ridiculous. Like, and I caught him. He had just went to Orlando, so he went through that run. Bro, he averaged 32 points, damn near 6 assists, damn near 5 rebounds. When scoring was tough to come by, he was 23. He was 23. So I don't know if I said this before, but I wouldn't stay with T-Mac. I'm like, bro, can I come work out with you? He's like, yeah. So I wouldn't stay with him for a week in Houston. And to see how he was working out, because you know when we watch you dudes, I ain't gonna lie, we watch PG, we watch Mac, we like, man, it looks so easy. Are they really working like that? You know what I'm saying? It looks so easy. Like, they really working like that? So I'm thinking it's gonna be like we gonna get some training here, bro. This man's up at 6 in the morning on the track. Then he come have breakfast. Then he go work out at 8 in the morning in the gym. Then after that, he's got lunch and he's doing the weight room. Then after that, some break and he's back in shots. Like, he's working out 3-4 times a day. I'm like, damn. It was actually harder than I thought it was going to be. Something like, I didn't come in for that. I came in and this is max sauce. You know what I'm saying? So, show me a couple hand dribbles. But, nah, so it was like enlightening to see somebody like that work, how hard he works and how easy the game is.
I want to know, how was it when you got to Orlando, since we talking about Mac, like getting there and seeing, like, you know, he didn't left Toronto and now he became T-Mac. Like, what, like, you know, so you just played with Kobe, then you played with MJ, now you get in and you see this different type of animal. Like, what was that like after being with those two guys and then walking in yet another 2/3, whatever you want to call it, like dynamo, this is cold. Like, how was that?
Man, this dude, he was the same talent. Like, he had the same talent, like postal, right shoulder, left shoulder,
shoot three,
pull up off the dribble, whatever, jump over, pass, yeah. And man, he just scored so easy, like no effort, yeah. And so, a crazy story about T-Mac, we played against the Wizards, and Jared Jeffers was guarding or whatever. So I'm a starting point guard in Orlando. This man had 62 points, right? I'm a starting point guard, and I had 2 assists. So I tell you, man, he kept that. Yeah. Oh man, a lot of ice. Come on, starting point guard, he got 62. I got 2 assists for the whole game. Like, I tell you, like, yo, that's crazy.
You going through one?
Man, come on, man. Like,
was you surprised that he didn't make the 75?
Yeah, I was. And I think, you know, they try to go out and win championships or whatever, but that's not what it's about. Like, you carry the franchise. If you're a top, if you're a top player, I don't care, like, what you want. Yeah, you a top player.
When I got to the league, the best player at my position was Tracy McGrady. Right. We ran to him, it was 30 every time you seen him.
You know, 2-time scoring champ, like perennial all-star. Like, I mean, I know he had the back issues or whatever, but like, he was, so, but the thing that he don't get credit for, he was a hell of a passer.
Yeah.
Like, he can make all the plays. Yeah, he's like a point guard, a 6'9" point guard, without being called a point guard. You know what I'm saying? But he don't get enough credit.
T-Mac wanted to be great. He wanted to dominate, and he wanted to be the king on the court. Young, athletic, wanting to just destroy people. That's what it was.
These kids can fly, can't they?
His dunks were extremely explosive. Kind of lulled you to sleep. Before you knew it, he was jumping over top of you.
In the first game, I remember we played against the Wizards, and he had 30 plus from that moment on. It was like, I'm on the mat, I'm here, I'm in that conversation. That's the top player.
Every time I played against him, he was like trying to solve a puzzle, trying to invent schemes almost, because regular ones wouldn't work.
You see glimpses of some amazing potential, and then one day, he's top 5 best players in the league.
Tracy McGrady takes it back in the lane, serves it off the glass.
Here's a guy at 6'9" that moved as if he was 6'3", can literally do everything. He can turn left shoulder, he can turn right shoulder, he can score from the post, he can score from the perimeter, he can facilitate, he can defend. When you have that combination, it's extremely dangerous.
McGrady sets a franchise record 62.
The game looked easy while dominating.
I remember him being a skinny, scrawny kid to now be one of the greatest players who's ever played. It's pretty surreal.
He could just do it all. One of the most dominant perimeter players to ever have played in the NBA.
4 seconds left. Come on. Tracy McGrady.
No, I drafted McGrady in Toronto. And the thing that I saw in him that I loved about him in high school was that he did everything so easily. And it gave the appearance that he was nonchalant, he didn't care. But when you really broke it down on film, he was fast, he was athletic, he was quick. So consequently, he would always be there waiting. And it looked like he was just, you know, I mean, he was never out of position. Offensively, you know, his moves were quick, but they were slow because he was that fast. You know, so you you had a chance to really see him in action, and I think from a shooting standpoint, from a passing standpoint, a ball handling standpoint, he was just about as good as we're going to see in this league. Maxed out in those offensive categories.
T-Mac was all five. Listen, he was shimmying Kobe and I got the same shit you got.
And then you see
but do KD got that? But do KD got that? What I'm saying is he's trying to, but it's the same. He got the same thing though. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
but do KD got the Melo ain't.
I think Melo will beat up T-Mac because Melo. That's why.
But he's not a better scorer than T-Mac.
But that's why I'm saying I don't think T-Mac.
But T-Mac did easy. That's easy.
No, I mean,
that's easy. I was there when he scored 60. That wasn't even a good game.
I got a lot.
He missed. The man missed like 9, 10 free throws. Missed a bunch. He should have had 80.
T-Mac better than James Harden.
Yeah, as a scorer. James Harden perfected something. So they're like, what's the travel? No, what I'm saying is James Harden perfected what he does best. Like if you say, James Harden, I'm gonna take the ball out of your hand, be efficient in scoring. Can he do that? Mac was different.
But Paul,
it was so easy.
Paul just looked different.
It was so easy for Mac that it was like Vince Carter, right?
Yeah.
It was just easy.
I appreciate you. You know I love you. It's unfortunate that you have to fall in that BS category. You don't have a championship. Whatever. I always thought you were one of the great players. You gave it to all of the greats.
A lot of people don't like T-Mac was, we said, when it comes to like style, how he dressed when he played the game. Like, we wanted that swag. That's why we all put on that leg season. So, I just think the importance of veteran guys. We spent a lot of time in Chicago. Tim Grover, you down there rehabbing and getting ready. And I remember T-Mac used to come and do this hang dribble, right? And that's all I did. And I got it from T-Mac, just come and do. I wasn't 6'7", 6'8" doing it, but like I just wanted to do what T-Mac was doing. I remember being in the gym and hearing him on the sideline talk about me killing people with this hang dribble, like this shot. And he was like, "Here it come, you go." And I was just tearing people up, and I was like,
The guy that always gave me the most problems actually was Tracy McGrady.
Tracy McGrady?
Yeah. Tracy McGrady with his, he had all the skills and all the athleticism, but he was 6'9", and he was really, really tough to figure out.
So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and tell me, do you think if a prime T-Mac were to play in today's NBA, he would be the best player in the league? So make sure you like, share, subscribe, and until next time.
He was not only one of the best defenders, but he was one of the most
feared. You did.
What if I told you that everything, yes, everything we know about the universe can ultimately be traced back to one of the simplest yet most profound building blocks of nature, the atom? Atoms are mind-bogglingly small. For perspective, a single human hair is about 1 million atoms wide, carbon atoms. Atoms are so small, they're invisible even to the most powerful optical microscopes, because they're smaller than the shortest wavelength of visible light. And yet, this tiny structure holds the keys to understanding the entire universe. An atom is the smallest unit of matter that still retains the properties we see in the macroscopic world, like the chemical and physical characteristics of substances. But it's also a quantum entity with discrete energy levels and unique interaction properties. And here's the kicker. This humble atom interacts with all 4 fundamental forces of nature. The entire framework of physics is at play within something we can't even see. You can think of it as an object that connects our macro world to the quantum world. So by understanding the atom, we can understand how the entire universe works. But how did we figure all this out? How do the various parts of an atom operate? And how does it provide a clue to to the workings of the rest of the universe. Stay tuned, because that's coming up right now. Our understanding of the atom is surprisingly recent. Less than 100 years ago, scientists were arguing about what atoms look like. The concept of atoms, though, goes all the way back to ancient Greece. The term atom comes from the Greek word atomos, meaning indivisible. Early Greek philosophers imagined that if you take any kind of matter and keep dividing it into smaller parts, there will come a point at which it would no longer be divisible. These tiny indivisible objects of various shapes, they thought, make up everything in the world. This is a simple idea, but it laid the foundation for some of the greatest scientific discoveries that followed. Fast forward to the early 19th century when John Dalton, an English chemist, took the idea further. Dalton described atoms as small, hard spheres that were indivisible, with identical atoms for each element. It was a step forward, but the idea of atoms being indivisible wouldn't hold up for long. In the late 1800s, J.J. Thomson discovered something shocking. He found that atoms themselves were made up of even smaller particles. Passing an electric current through a vacuum tube, he observed that it was attracted by positively charged metal plates, but repelled by negatively charged ones. This proved that the current flowing through the tube was made up of negatively charged particles, which we now call electrons. Measuring the deflection of the beam revealed that these electrons were about 2,000 times lighter than the lightest atom. Thomson then proposed a plum-pudding atomic model, where electrons were scattered inside a positively charged sphere. But this model didn't last long either. Ernest Rutherford, Thomson's own student, performed an experiment intending to verify this plum-pudding idea, but it ended up shattering it instead. The premise was simple. If atoms are overall neutral with evenly distributed charges, a beam of positively charged particles pointed at a thin sheet of metal should pass straight through. When Rutherford conducted this experiment, what he found was that while most of it did pass right through, some of the alpha particles were deflected at large angles, and a very small fraction of them even bounced back completely. Making sense of these results required a whole new atomic model. Rutherford had discovered the positively charged nucleus. To explain the very small probability of bouncing back, indicating a head-on collision, the nucleus must be tiny, he figured, just 1 femtometer, or 10 to the negative 15 meters across, while most of the atom is empty, with the electrons orbiting about 100,000 times further away. The negatively charged electrons, then, he thought, must be kept in an orbit around a positively charged nucleus, due to the electromagnetic force, one of the 4 fundamental forces of nature. But here's where it gets even more interesting. If electrons were orbiting around a nucleus, they must be undergoing a constant acceleration due to the circular orbit. But charges undergoing acceleration emit electromagnetic waves, also known as light. So if electrons were simply point-like particles orbiting a nucleus like planets around the sun, they would quickly radiate away all their energy and spiral inward, eventually crashing into the nucleus. In other words, it would be impossible for atoms to be stable. To resolve this conundrum, French physicist Louis du Broglie proposed a revolutionary idea. Electrons aren't just particles, they behave like waves too. These waves can only exist at specific discrete energy levels. It's like a guitar string. When you pluck it, only certain harmonics or standing waves are allowed. Electrons work kind of the same way. They orbit the nucleus in stable patterns where the wave fits perfectly in the orbit. No more and no less. These energy levels are like rungs on a ladder. Electrons can jump between them, but they can't exist in between. When an electron drops from a higher energy level to a lower one, it releases energy in the form of a photon, a packet of light. The energy of this photon precisely matches the energy gap between the levels. And when electrons absorb a photon, it's like getting a quantum boost, which leaps them to a higher energy state. What's remarkable is that these energy transitions of electrons in any atom, when going from one energy level to another, are unique for every element. It's determined by the number of protons in the nucleus. They act as atomic fingerprints, producing distinct spectral lines that scientists can use to identify elements in stars, galaxies, and even distant planets. It's like decoding the makeup of the universe by reading its light. The photon in this case isn't just a messenger, it's also a carrier of the electromagnetic force, enabling interactions between charged particles. The electromagnetic force is the second strongest fundamental force and plays a crucial role in shaping the world as we know it. Besides ensuring the stability of atoms, it determines the unique set of properties for each element. There are about 90 naturally occurring elements on Earth, which combine in countless ways, forming the molecules and structures we see in the universe. So from the simplest hydrogen atom to the most complex molecules in living organisms, atoms and their electromagnetic interactions are the architects of everything around us and beyond. But here's a puzzle. If protons inside the nucleus are all positively charged, they should repel each other strongly due to the electromagnetic interaction. So why don't nuclei just fall apart? Before I answer that, you might be wondering what it takes to produce videos like this. Well, I have a team of animators, editors, and fact checkers that help me make these videos. This is not easy or cheap. Each video takes about a month, specialized skills, and costs thousands of dollars to produce. But our sponsor today, InVideo AI, has what I think is an astonishing way to produce videos independent of your skill level at very low cost with very little technical training. You can just type in the idea you want to create a video about, and InVideo will create a video according to your specifications within minutes. This is the video it created for me when I put in the following prompt. Create a video to show how all the fundamental forces of nature are inside an atom, talk about the strong force, weak force, electromagnetism, and gravity, presented in a way that someone with a high school education can understand. I'm amazed at the quality of this video. In my mind, this is game-changing. You can even edit whatever you want by text commands like add my voice. There's no steep learning curve. It's like having an entire video team at your beck and call. And even more amazing, you can try InVideo for free at the link in your screen or in the description. It'll save you hundreds, if not thousands, in editing, animation, and other production costs. Be sure to give it a try at the link in the description. Now, let's get back to answer the question of why don't positively charged protons in the nucleus repel each other? The answer lies in one of the universe's most powerful forces, the strong force, or strong interaction. At distances smaller than a femtometer, the strong force takes over, overwhelming the electromagnetic repulsion between protons. It's 137 times stronger than the electromagnetic force inside a nucleus. This force holds protons and neutrons, collectively called nucleons, together. But the real secret lies even deeper. Protons and neutrons themselves aren't indivisible. They're made up of even smaller particles called quarks. Quarks come in 6 types, or flavors, but inside protons and neutrons, you'll find only 2, up quarks and down quarks. Up quarks carry a positive fractional electric charge of 2/3, and down quarks carry a negative charge of negative 1/3. But they can only combine to form particles with an integer charge. So for example, protons are made up of 2 up quarks and 1 down quark, giving them a positive charge of +1.
Our final round of squits. Take it away. I'm sending it to the booth. 2 spots left in the face.
Thank you so much. Indeed, it is big stress time here for not us. Well, I mean, I think we get more stressed than the players, actually.
The edge of my seat is in trouble. I'm always on it for the last round.
And you're running alongside Corey Baumeister here to see if we can get Yu Chen a win and potentially a top 8 spot for William Rougeau. Things look a lot better for him in this matchup. So if he wins, he is good to go. But Yu Chen, you know, it's fingers crossed and hope for the best amongst the rest of our playouts here, the rest of our matches at the top tables.
And Yu Chen does have 65% tiebreakers, 3% up on the person below him, so it does look good. That this is just a clean win in it, but it's not guaranteed for sure from Yu Chen.
Don't want to say anything too definitive here. Anything can happen in the game of Magic.
Yeah, tiebreakers can get wild towards those last rounds.
Let's kick things off here. Yu-Chen Liu with Heartfire Hero hitting the board here. Follow-up play in hand of Manifold Mouse. Also has the Paw Patch Recruits on the other side of things. Got a Heartfire Hero as well.
Yep, and pretty solid hands from both players. A little too many lands there from Yu-Chen, but being able to top deck. Oh, I already had one of the Manifold Mouse, but top decking another one to be able to Offspring this Paw Patch Recruit next turn, and then Offspring Manifold Moth the turn after. And you got some nice shenanigans.
Yeah, that's a word problem. No one can exterminator. At least if you are William Marujo. On his side of things, though, got a bit of a think here. Innkeeper's Talent or Manifold Mouse, which way do you go?
Yeah, it's always pretty close here. Manifold Mouse just has power, and otherwise it kind of does the same thing here, but this is kind of the bread and butter Gruul play of being able to have the hero into something that puts a counter on it, and either gives a double strike or, an additional counter with the Innkeeper's
I would call this the perfect mirror, except William's got the foil version of the deck, meanwhile.
Yeah, that's fair, that's fair. Big difference for sure.
Absolutely. If they're shinier, they play better.
I think you're right, yeah. Yeah, gotta be really feeling for Yu-Chen here, I mean, being put in that spot where you get to 11 wins really early on and you have so many wins and you're like, well, it doesn't even cross your mind that you're gonna lose 4 in a row, but now you're at that last possible scenario to be able to get the job done.
It's such a rough spot to get in, because you can't help but get into your own head, right?
Yeah.
So Yu-Chen just has to do his best here to stay focused on the match. It's a mirror. We haven't actually seen that many, at least on camera.
Yeah.
What's the most important thing besides, killing your opponent first?
It's just definitely figuring out, okay, can I lose on the crackback? Or, is there no way that I can lose? So knowing when to overcommit to the battlefield versus when to hold back. We kind of saw that last round with Yu-Chen up against Lucas Dukow. And it's that, turns 2 and 3 are just very, very important to be able to really set the pace for the rest of the game. So,
as things stand, Yu-Chen has more life, has more critters, and William is going to have a big think about this turn. He's got plenty of action in hand, and Witchstalker's Frenzy as well to deal with one of these creatures on the other side.
Yeah, and what it's really going to come down to here is if Yu-Chen is able to top deck a meaningful thing, Monstrous Rage would almost always be the most important thing, maybe, questing Druid into some extra spells. Then you got to put huge advantage to Yu-Chen as he was on the play and has a very wide battlefield here. And then from William's side, this is that really crucial turn 3 that I was talking about. And the one nice thing that William has is he can go Innkeeper's Talent and then leave up 1 mana to have that Witchstalker's Frenzy.
Yeah.
There's almost assuredly 4 creatures coming at him, or at least 3 to be able to cast that for 1. That's where my brain would go immediately, but we'll leave William to do the math here and we'll see what he decides.
William do a big think, deciding which lands he wants to tap.
Yeah, definitely want to tap the land that doesn't produce mana for your spells.
Innkeeper's Talent hits the board. And now it's just a question of who gets the counter.
Yeah, I think I like the play of just put the counter on Heartfire and just double strike, say, okay, Yu-Chen, if you want to chump block, that's fine with me. Otherwise, take 8, and then William is able to represent an lethal attack next turn. And if Yu-Chen is chump blocking, you're always fine with that on the other side of Gruul.
Yeah. 2 Heartfire Heroes available for Yu-Chen. Does one get thrown under the Heartfire Hero bus here?
Yeah, and the one thing Yu-Chen knows for a fact is, well, he cannot die right now. Monstrous Rage would boost this up to 7 power double strike, only dealing 14 only.
That's a lot of power for a small mouse.
So Yu-Chen knows that no matter what, he's going to be able to untap next turn. So now, where does that put him, type thing?
So, I love a lot of math in what I think most people would say, oh, it's just an aggro deck. There's a lot of math problems in this aggro deck, I can tell you.
The mirror match is actually very complex. You can't really make any mistake And sometimes you're making, you know, a decision and you're like hoping it's working out and you might make the correct play, but they had the other thing and you still end up losing. So it's not always about, you know, just making the absolute correct play with what you see. Sometimes they just have the other thing and you're still in trouble.
The screaming nemesis, yeah. Okay, so another hasty threat. I think we're good to just turn things sideways and whip.
So Heartfire Hero can get double strike and trample. Goes up to essentially 8 power. Okay. So has the one way to kill one creature, can block another one. I guess the best thing you can block is the Paw Patch.
That gives a counter to something?
Yeah, then you can kill the Heartfire Hero and then you take 4. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm still counting 9. Plus the Carfusion Force is 10. So I think the best William can do is go to -2 off my quick round. Yeah.
That's going to be far too much there, the hasty threat.
Yeah.
Off the top there. And that's how quick these dual matchups can go. But even that was, you know, pretty slow with all the thinks and the calculations going on there.
And the pretty wild thing there with, you know, my math going to -2 there, with the Screaming Nemesis on the top, if that wasn't there, it looks like William could have survived at 1.
Yeah.
So, Eugen needed to draw something there.
Yeah, and finding the tiny Screaming Nemesis.
Okay, no 1 drop from William, that's a big deal.
Yeah. Oh, 2 Questing Druids in hand.
Okay.
So if this game somehow magically goes long, that'll come in handy. But let's see where this game goes. First and foremost, this Emberheart Challenger hits the board and hits Yuchen for 2.
I bet that's a change that Yuchen does in the mirror match here versus, let's say, Lucas last round. You know, with the leyline version being much more aggressive. I bet we didn't see him Seek the Beast in the deck afterwards. But in this matchup, it's a little more grindy with Innkeeper's Talon and slow stuff like that.
Some green would be nice. No forests. Ooh.
Sweepers are 5.
No forests.
Play a big
That's
creature.
not great. So the choice is Emberheart Challenger or just Seek the Beast.
Yeah, I'm gonna just start jamming.
Yeah.
Tap the top of the deck, hope for a forest, otherwise end step Seek the Beast.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you know the top of your deck is a forest and a red card, you're like, great, Seek the Beast would be better. But, you know, if you don't have faith in the top of the deck, just play the Emberheart Challenger and go from there.
Manifold Mouse hits the board here. It's going to target Trigger Exile.
Sweep it.
5, 8,
Beautiful.
torch the tower, so that Emberheart Challenger is going die-die.
Incredible flip there. William didn't have another play besides a Monstrous Rage if he wanted to go down that route. So that was an incredible flip there. It's a green source off the top, just a tap.
Oh, nice. Don't do that, Corey. Don't give me
There we go, yeah. So it did have the option to go Emberheart Challenger there, but deciding to try to find some removal and just Yuchen recognizing I am firmly in the defensive stance here.
And that's not where you want to be with this deck, but it can defend
Blow it up.
decently, but it's
Blow
not
it
the
up.
tricks that this deck has to offer.
Yeah.
So.
Bam is him. Trash.
most of y'all if you are still on East Coast time or Central time. But I just wanted to go live really quickly because y'all is wearing me out. Like, you know, I better understand why black folk got hoodwinked and got caught up and started saying that Kamala wasn't black enough or she wasn't even black at all and all this kind of stuff, because legitimately another member of Congress sent me a video of a woman who supposedly is a teacher, and I'm saying supposedly because I am hoping to God that this woman is not an educator of our future scholars, because for whatever reason people don't question when right-wing media puts out things about me. Now, would you think that I'm their bestie or that I am literally their number one enemy? Or for all of those saying we're the Democrats. And then when people are out there and they're fighting for you, you immediately believe some of the most ridiculous stuff ever. You can go and look at all the videos of me and all the things that I fought for, even my conversations around reparations, and then you're not even questioning. Like, this video kind of ended abruptly. Y'all ain't got no questions. Y'all just like, oh, okay. And legitimately, this ABC interview, it's on YouTube. Like, it's just a matter of like Googling. You can see the entire interview. And if you have an issue with what I said, then that's perfectly fine. Because, you know, for now, at least we live in a free country. But let me tell y'all exactly what I said, since some of y'all.
So before we get into her and what she said, she's so passive aggressive, bro. Like, she's so catty and so silly in her mindset. Like, I don't know if this is the new wave of what Democrats are putting out there, because I know that they got a whole movement of resistance with AOC, Jasmine Crockett, and people of the like. But, you know, all of it, we live in a free country for now, and all of this stuff. Like Texas, Dallas, what y'all doing, bro? What y'all got going on over there where y'all feel like this woman is the best representation of y'all? It's so weird to me, man. It's just, I mean, I know she's about to get into her whole conversation, and I want to deep dive into the whole $5,000 thing. But isn't it funny how Jasmine Crockett will sit here and defend herself or go back and forth? Because I know that everybody, including politicians, rappers, famous people, athletes, whatever, they all go and look at what it is that people are saying about her. But isn't it funny how she has so much to say about Elon Musk and all of that, but she's not actually holding her own constituents accountable for the fact that they basically ran the government into the ground? Like, why would we vote for Kamala Harris if they basically allowed for all of these illegal migrants to come over here? Why would we continue to support anything that y'all got going on with y'all raging liberals and y'all advocated for men using women's bathrooms and women basically being able to mutilate their unborn children in the form of contraception, right? No accountability. They don't have no conversation about the amount of fraud that's going on inside of the federal government. And so because their inability to be objective, because they gaslight people, you know, they try to harp on one thing to try to win that part of the argument, but they're losing the war, they're losing the battle, they're losing the people. And again, I say it all the time, but these Democrats, they're not the Democrats of yesteryear. But let's get into our whole $5,000 conversation. I'm gonna let the whole thing play through, and then we're gonna come back and have a conversation about it. Also, make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description, as well as pinned to the top of the chat.
I was really confused because Elon and his friends decided to put it out there. What I said was, what is $5,000 going to do for you if you don't have a job? That is what I said. That is what I said. Because I can tell you that there's a lot of people that are losing their jobs with the federal government and could care less about a $5,000 check. There's a lot of people that are going to lose their jobs as it relates to private industry that could care less about a $5,000 check. So what I was saying is, what is $5,000 if you ain't got no job? Because right now we are headed towards a recession. These were my exact words, and you don't have to believe me. Just Google the ABC live interview with me, and you will see that they intentionally stopped the recording right after I said what is $5,000, because they believed that people would not research and figure it out on their own. And sadly enough, like MAGA doing it is like one thing. To have a colleague send me a video black woman that is an educator, and she's out here living, talking about this why she can't stand me, ma'am. We've never met a day in our lives. You ain't gotta like me, you ain't gotta love me, but at least get your facts together
that was supposed
before
to
you
be
go
the
out there. And
end.
honestly, if you still feel a way and you say I disagree with you, then you just disagree. Like, that's perfectly fine, but at least get your facts straight. Like, that's all I want this country to do. Is start with the bottom line facts. And so I was gonna do a video and this and that, but I'm a little busy. I'm a little freaking busy. And actually, it was how busy I was.
That's terrible. That is like terrible. Oh.
I'm gonna get in trouble for this, but I don't care. It's too funny. I had to say something about it. I want to talk about the sister Kendra G. Y'all know who that is?
Uh-oh.
Kendra G.
No.
She's a girl who used to do radio in Chicago that I met on the radio in Chicago. And is that her?
No.
Oh, my bad.
Oh, she's 57.
Okay, no, she used to do radio in Chicago, but she now does her show, her version of Kevin Samuel's show.
Oh, yeah, I heard you bring her. Yeah, I heard her.
Yeah, she does her version. Bingo!
I'm glad he finally said it. She doesn't admit it, but she is doing exactly what she was mad at Kevin Samuels for doing and that she called into. So yeah, I'm glad Corey's calling that out. I'm glad somebody else sees the similarities, because she'll tell you that she does her own original content when she's just doing Kevin Samuels' show, a version of it, but a bad version of it.
Oh, yeah, I heard you bring her. Yeah, I heard her.
Yeah, she does her version of Kevin Samuel's show, and I think she really flopped when she went on this show with Tamron Hall. And I'm gonna just play the clip first and let people watch. They might see what I'm talking about. So can we play that clip? All right, give it to me.
Just thinking about her. I don't think men want a broke lady, but they also don't want a lady that's gonna be too expensive. You know, wigs is $2,000, lashes is $300. Okay, so are you easing into high maintenance? Yes. Well, I think that yeah, that's real high.
Based on that Super Bowl video where her whole wig was sliding back, I don't think she should be talking about how much a dude needs to spend on wigs for her. That's crazy. This is a train wreck, man.
$2,000, lashes is $300. Okay, so are you easing into high maintenance? Yes. Well, I think that yeah, that's real high. And you're only, so 25 people are owning the high maintenance. Well, women feel like this is what I do for myself, so a man has to be able to do the same or more. Why can't you keep doing it for yourself?
Exactly.
Why? If a man is here, why am I just not here for my wigs? But they're feeling like this. Okay, I'm showing up for you. I'm giving you my energy. I am in your presence. You should pay for this.
Oh my God.
Stop.
That's crazy.
She made a goddamn fool out of herself. And I mean, like, I'll give my opinion why she made a fool out of herself. Craig, you was laughing.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about it first, or you want me to go?
I mean, shit. I mean, you said, why? If you just say,
He said a bar right there, man. What is different than what she just explained and actually walking down the stroll and offering your wares in exchange for money? Damn. Is that what this is a road to? Some of us have already told you that that's what this is a road to. All this online money, asking for money, asking for cash apps. But there's a responsibility that comes with a man giving you money. And this is a slow walk into prostitution. Absolutely.
I'm a prostitute, and this is what I charge with me. That is more respectable than trying to sound respectable, but being in denial about who you are. That's like being a firefighter. You got a hose in your head. You know, you got the water going, and you saying, "I'm a football player." Nigga, I play football. No, nigga, you fight fire. What the, it just don't make no sense to me how people think they can create their own reality. I mean, you can create your own reality, but at least be man or woman enough to to make a debatable claim that might be controversial, that people may disagree with or may agree with, and at least support it with some facts. I sell, and then say, hey, because I can pay my bills, I can pay for wigs, and I can't take care of myself financially, so I need a man to do that. That's more respectable than making a complete fallacy statement that has no truth to it. It's just all delusion.
I agree with you 1,000%, Greg. I'm glad you said that, because that just adds to what I was thinking. See, I want to tell Kendra G something that she really needs to stop pretending is about this as well. Tamara Hall is bad.
Super bad.
Her problems ain't your problems. You have to wear a wig in order to be out.
Is that why Tamara checked her so quick? Because Tamara seemed to be thinking along the lines of what we're thinking.
Her problems ain't your problems.
What?
You have to wear a wig in order to be out here in these streets like you want to be. Tamara Hall could have on a skull cap with a square about. Her level of action is going to be different to your level of action, Kendra. And I'm saying, what Pink saying is a very important point as well. It's like women trying to act like everybody on the same level is one of the greatest forms of being delusion as you can get. Everybody's not on the same level. Kendra, them who talk to you on your show, believe it or not, that's your level.
Wow. Come on, someone. Damn. Is that what's really? I think Corey just cracked it right here. This is the Da Vinci Code right here. You know how all women are saying they're 10, they're 10, they're 10. All the callers that call up the Kendra show is a 10. Kendra's a 10. Is that her real level? Is she a woman of the people? Even though she elevates herself above them at all times, she's very condescending to the people that call into her show, and I think she shouldn't be, because they actually pay her bills. Yeah, she has some fire.
That's your level. So when you around some real, like Tamara Hall said, if you get a man, you can still do what you're doing to take care of yourself. Right. Right. You know what I'm saying?
She actually had that look where she thought that she was actually going to somewhat agree with her.
Yeah, I mean, they don't go through what you go through, Sister Kendra. This ain't no diss. I'm trying to show you something. You not a bitch that's gonna be kept by boss. That Tamara Hall would be a delight to wake up to and argue with in the morning.
She gonna have to move to Haiti for somebody to take her shit.
I'll say this, Kendra is, when she does the makeup and the hair and everything, she puts all the stuff together, it brings her to a level. Kevin Samuels used to talk about this, a woman who is adjustable up from a level, but if your level is here, you're only gonna go so far. You know, there's a whole bunch of other levels above that. And I think that's the problem. We don't separate things. This is what.
Last one. Take my ass to sleep.
Essentially, what happened before the Big Bang, you have to be careful with the language. So, if you define the Big Bang really carefully as the time when the universe was very hot and very dense, and as I said, you can't argue with that because we can see it and we can look out into the sky. Our best theory of how the universe got into that state is that there was a time before that, and it's called inflation.
What existed before the Big Bang? This question has always been a challenge for scientists, but now it seems they've found the answer to it. But it has left scientists shocked as Brian Cox revealed that something terrifying existed before the Big Bang.
So the idea is the universe was there, in a sense, cold and empty, and expanded extremely fast. And that expansion slowed down and stopped. And the energy that was driving that expansion got dumped into space, heated it up, and made all the particles out of which were made. And that's what we call the Big Bang.
So, What existed before the Big Bang? Why has it left scientists terrified? Let's find out.
That theory has a kind of extension called eternal inflation, which is that the inflation essentially goes on forever, and it just stops in little patches. So you imagine the fabric of the universe, space, stretch, and then it slows down and stops in little patches. And each one of those patches is basically a Big Bang in a universe, of which there is one. So then we get sort of picture of an infinite fractal universe of basically an infinite number of Big Bangs, and that's called inflationary multiverse.
In the vast cosmos, the idea of absolute nothingness seems theoretical rather than real. Even if all energy were removed from the universe, it wouldn't be truly empty. Currently, the universe is full of matter, radiation, antimatter, neutrinos, dark matter, and dark energy. Even without energy, the universe still creates new forms of energy. This phenomenon confuses us. It seems the universe doesn't understand our concept of complete emptiness. If we removed all energy, leaving a void, one might expect the universe to reach absolute zero with no particles. Yes, that's not the case. Even in an empty universe, its expansion would still produce radiation. This extends far into the future or even back to the time before the hot Big Bang. The universe, it appears, never truly becomes void. Given all this, is it plausible that the universe originated from nothing? We can be certain that something always persists. Even if particles, antiparticles, photons and quanta are removed, empty space remains. If we move away from any mass or energy sources, clear the space of external electric, magnetic and gravitational fields, and prevent photons or gravitational waves from entering, a kind of physical emptiness still exists in this space. Quantum fields endure, and the fundamental constants and laws of physics endure. There is an inherent, finite positive and non-zero value of 0-point energy in that space. This represents the closest approximation to nothing within our universe. While you might envision an even more nothing-like state, it lacks physical reality. No experiment can replicate such a condition. By adhering to scientific principles, we acknowledge that something always exists because true nothingness cannot coexist in our universe. Yet, the question of why remains unanswered by science. Presently, our universe appears far from empty. It's teeming with stars, gas, dust, galaxies, quasars, cosmic rays, and radiation from both starlight and the remnants of the Big Bang. With improved observational tools, we could potentially detect additional signals that we anticipate are present. This encompasses gravitational waves generated by